Hey guys. So I'm making this video because, my channel is trade by trade and I'm going from truck driver to day trader. And when I first started, it seemed like a high barrier entry to get into. I was doing my research while I was driving, YouTube, podcasts, and I wanted to get in. I was interested, but I really didn't know how to. You see these guys with six screens, it's very intimidating. You think it's go, go, go. You don't know if you need a supercomputer, you don't know what subscriptions you need, you don't even know what the chart's looking at. It looks like the Matrix and it's just like green numbers, right?
All I see is blonde, brunette, redhead.
And yeah, you're probably not going to see a brunette or blonde or redhead in it, but you might see buy and sell signals. And that's pretty much what it does. It's just giving you little buy and sell signals. I wanted to make a how-to video on how to get started as a day trader as a beginner and from a beginner, right? Because a month ago, I was in my truck, in my Freightliner over the road, and now I'm day trading, right? And I just want to show some of the steps to get started. And again, this is just beginner level, right? When I first was learning about it, it's all the different terms too, right? Like exponential moving average, VWAP, MACD. MACD is moving average convergence divergence. Like, I don't know what that is, right? I couldn't explain it if it was an exam or a test. Like, I would just leave it blank and go to the next one, right? But I know how to read it. I can look at it, and you know what I mean? It's a clue. And when I look at these charts and you see indicators, and I'll show you them, there's like a huge list of them, and they're just clues. They're just little clues, pieces to a puzzle that you get used to seeing. And then once you see enough of them and get used to it, maybe you see buy signal, maybe you see sell signal, bullish, bearish, good, bad. That's all it really comes down to. And I'm going to start with charts and scanners. These are a must, and it's kind of the building blocks of it. I'm going to go another video on equipment, right? Do you need the six computers? Do you need a supercomputer? Like how many you know what I mean? Like what are the hardware stuff that you need, right? Even like trading platforms like Dash Trader or something. Then this clock starts ticking a bit, right? Because you're paying each month, and then you also want to see results to make money too, right? So if you're in the free stage, you're just learning, right? You're curious. When I was a truck driver, I was just want to get as much information as possible. Then I think this will be a good start. I'm going to break it down super simple, right? Again, I don't know all the terminology of that, but I know how to read it, look at it, and let's keep it simple. Let's keep it basic. You know what I mean? I don't want to throw anybody off. And I don't think you should be discouraged from day trading just because of the terminology or people's setups or stuff like that, right? Trading is risky and this isn't financial advice, but I think day trading is an option for people. I don't want you not to be able to get in just because, like you see, you see six screens and, MACD, you don't know what that is, and there's 100 indicators and it throws you off. So I'm going to get started with this one, how to start day trading with the charts and scanners. If you're familiar with the charts, you can skip ahead to the scanners. I'll go over the charts first. I'm going to go over I'll go over the price after, just so you have a basic, idea of how much it costs. When I was doing my research before I started day trading and before I started in the simulator, it's kind of writing down like, okay, how much is this going to cost me each month, right? How much is the scanner? How much is the charts? And, do I need another monitor? All this stuff. So let's start with charts. We'll get into it. We'll break it down. It's a lot simpler than, you see on videos and stuff like that, right? So let's get into it. This one's a good one to get started on. And if you look up here in the top left, you'll see 1 minute. And then if you look on this side, you'll see 10 second. And that's when they talk about charts, they'll say 1 minute, 10 seconds, 5 minutes, and that's how the time frame of these candles here. So when this candle, the basic first breakdown is you want to know about the candlesticks, right? What does this bar even mean, right? Your instincts already will be, this big green bar is good, right? And that's right. And if this big red bar is bad, that's also right. And these little green bars, they're okay. That's mostly right, right? Your instinct already is when you're reading these. Now, to really understand it, if you look here at the bottom, this is the open price. Each one is 1 minute blocks. That's how it goes by. So right at, if you look at the very bottom here, it'll show the time, right? So 5:34, 5:35, 5:36, right? It goes by 1 minute. If you look on this side, it goes by 10 second, right? So each candlestick is 10 seconds, right? So this one candlestick, okay, you're like, okay, that's great. Opened at 273, and the top will be where it closed at 340, right? And that was at 534. So if you look over here at 534, it starts on this one, right? It starts here, but there's one, two, three, four, there's five candles, and then six right here. The sixth candle right there. So you can have a whole nother movement within this movement, right? So it depends on how you look at it. But all this candlestick is that it opens at 273, and at the end of that minute, it closed at 340. On the next minute, it opens where it closed. Usually, just for simplicity's sake, sometimes there's slippage, but mostly this one will open when this one closes, right? So this one opens at like 339, 340, and then after a minute, there's a bunch of trading. You'll see this bar bouncing up and down, right? And then it'll close right here, 395 or 396, and then the next one, that's where it opens, right? But now it's bearish. It's going down, right? Red, bad, bearish, right? And now it's going down and it'll close here, right? So it's very simple. And this is just, again, a clue, right? This is just one clue. These indicators, everything on these charts are just clues. So you're looking at one clue at a time. So if you look in the top left, you have EMA, 920, 200. You have the VWAP. What are those, right? Like the exponential moving average, the volume weighted average price. I don't totally know what it is. I could probably explain it, right? The EMA is like the average price of the last 9 candles, right? Support and resistance. What does that all mean? Again, it's a line, right? Usually, if you're above it, that's green, that's good, that's bearish. It's called support, right? So if you see here, it acts as support, right? It comes down, it touches it, and it'll go back up, right? It's a level of support. That's what people mean when they say support, right? Nice and simple. I don't need to write out what EMA is and VWAP. All I know when I'm looking at a graph and it's trading like this, it's above the 9 EMA. That's good, right? That's one more clue. It's green, it's above the VWAP, it's above everything. That's just, again, another piece of the puzzle. It's green. That's really all you have to worry about, right? Another one is if you look at the volume. Now, again, if you look at these and you see big green bars, you're going to be like, oh, that looks good. And you'd be right, right? And if you look at little red bars, you know, that's not so bad. That's not so bad as a big red bar, right? And that's your instincts. And that's right. So if you look on the left-hand side, it shows you the volume. So when I go over this bar, there's 1.3 million shares there, right? And sure enough, there's a big green rise there, right? And on this one, there's 2 million, right? So again, it's just another piece of the puzzle when it's going up like this, right? It's slowly going up and you see a big red candle, right? You're like, oh, this is bullish. This is good. This might be a buy signal, right? And you'd be right. Look, it takes off. Again, just another clue, right? So nothing too complicated when you look at it. And now another one is down here, the MACD. Yeah, again, moving average convergence divergence. I don't know, but I know that this is good, right? It's green, it's open, it's positive. This is a bullish sign, right? And it's just another clue. You look down here real quick, you see green, that's good, right? And sure enough, as you're going forward, right, it's staying green, it's staying positive, the volume's good, right? So this is positive, this is positive, the candles are positive, you're above the EMA, and every strategy will be different on the indicators. Like if you look up here and I click the indicators, I mean, there's literally so many, right? And each strategy is going to go over their own. Right now I do the um, small cap momentum trading, right? And this one is based off Warrior Trading. They kind of have their own one, but they do momentum trading mostly, and their stuff is pretty much focused on momentum trading. So this is just my strategy. But again, do your own research, find your own way. When you're looking at this and they're using an indicator, just think, you know what? That's just a clue, right? That's just like a sign. That's a piece of the puzzle that you're looking at, right? And as you go up to the next one, again, you see a red bar of volume. You could go on it and it's really not too bad, right? You have two green ones and a smaller red one. Now, if this was a massive red one, you might be like, huh, that's a little bearish. But you look down here and the MACD is still positive, it's still open, right? So you might be, huh, that might be actually a pullback. This might be still bullish. This might be a good entry point up here, right? So then the stock keeps going a little bit more. Again, the volume down here isn't too bad. It's small. The MACD is positive, right? You're still getting bullish signs. And then sure enough, you get a little bit of green, right, on the volume. MACD's still good. Now it's starting to pull up a little bit. And then sure enough, it goes in. So you could have got in up here, right? Around 365, 375. That could have been a good entry point. And then it goes as high as, was that 460, right? So you could have done quite well. And that's all guys are looking at with this strategy. But again, it's nothing too complicated, right? You don't need to understand what the MACD is to be doing this, right? Okay, so now you're going a little bit forward. Oh no, there's a big red candle, right? That's not the same red candle like was before, right? This one is a pretty big size, right? And then you look at the volume, you're like, okay, that's definitely more than usual. Not a great sign. You look at the MACD, it's still positive. You could see that it's slowly kind of coming down, right? But this many indicators, you'd kind of hold off, right? It's getting a little closer to the EMA, right? Which we know is support, but we don't want it to get that close, right? So then you go to the next one, and uh-oh, it crosses that support line, right? Not good. Another red candle. And now if you look at the MACD, it's like right on the line, right? It's like super close. Maybe it hasn't crossed over quite yet, but again, now a lot of clues are saying maybe this isn't a good time to be buying, right? And then sure enough, the next one, right? The MACD does cross. You get another, it's a small bar, but again, it's like three red in a row, right? And look how much this has come down. Like before, it was just like two little red candles, right? Nice little pullback, which is what is okay, right? I'm not going to get into bull flag and ABCD, charts and stuff like that, because that's just going to confuse and kind of, you know what I mean? You just want to get a good idea of these charts and kind of, you know, understand that it's not a huge barrier to be getting into these. But sure enough, you pull forward, and again, the MACD is negative, a bunch of red bars. I mean, it's dropped so much, right? And you wouldn't be trading this, right? So that's all it is a bunch of little clues. Okay, so when you see these charts, again, the indicators, they're just clues. They're just little clues. And normally, even when I'm trading, you might have a bunch of these charts open, but a lot of the times you just need to look at it and see, oh, the MACD is negative, not going to trade it. Oh, it just had a huge drop down, not going to be, oh, it's below VWAP, and I'm not going to look at it. So you're not just staring at it all the time. A lot of time I'm just like, okay, looking at the charts, look at another one. Maybe I pull up a stock, look at something new. But again, it's not these aren't too overwhelming, these charts. You get used to them. You don't need to know all the terminology and stuff. You will, if you're doing a strategy, and you want to get into that and you want to know like deeply what these things mean, of course you can, but it shouldn't stop you from wanting to day trade. Okay, so for the charts, I'll just pull up a site. Trading View is the most common. So I'll pull up that. I think it's about 50 bucks, could be 100. I'll show you the different options. You kind of keep track of, okay, so if I get a subscription for charts, it's, so and so amount roughly. And then as you're doing your research, just keep track. And by the end of it, then you have like a good idea. If you keep following the videos, I'm going to do the equipment, I'm going to do the trading brokerage or the simulator, and then you're going to know exactly how much it costs per month, and then you can work towards saving that up or doing whatever your strategy or whatever your journey is. But at least then you have, you know how to get into the charts, kind of how to read them, even the equipment on the next videos that I do. And then you'll kind of be able to start, because I don't see a lot of videos where they're starting from regular 9 to 5 job or trucking or just something, or maybe you just want to do part-time in the morning. When I was doing my trucking, I bought a Starlink. I didn't end up using it, but I was gonna day trade in the morning in my truck. I saw some videos of people doing that, and I was like, I got a power inverter in my truck. I could start up in the morning, put the Starlink on my the hood of my truck, and then just trade, right? Get a laptop, couple monitors, right? So, anything is really possible. And I think if we just break down the barriers and just simplify it a bit, it just makes it a lot easier. And then you can kind of make your decision of what you want to do. Okay, so this is Trading View. This is like the most common, um, I think it's the most common charts. And if you look at it, they just have different price points. This is in, I don't know if I'm in Canada, so that's the other thing too. I don't know if this is an American, but again, it's a kind of like 5 indicators per chart here is probably, you know, gonna be your minimum. But again, depending on your strategy, depending on what you need, right? Like it goes up a lot, obviously, right? Okay, so next I'm going to talk about scanners. If you skipped ahead to this part, the scanners are an absolute must. You have to have scanners. They're just, so I showed you the charts, and if you have a stock, you can look it up and you can see some indicators, clues, right? Maybe see some buy, sell signals, right? But how do you know which stocks to look at, right? You sit at your desk, and you saw in the charts, the candlesticks. I mean, those moves are happen like 1 minute, 2 minute. They could be done in 5 minutes. So speed is definitely necessary in day trading. So, okay, so how do you find a stock? That's where scanners come into play. There's scanners and there's screeners. Scanners are usually live data, so they're very up to date. Whereas screeners, I believe, have a delay. So if you're like a swing trader, you don't really need the live data. Usually it costs more for these scanners and the live data. Whereas the Trading View, I think, had a screener in it, but it was delayed by like 5 or 10 minutes, I believe. So if you're swing trading, you don't need that live data, right? You're just kind of looking at your stocks, you're kind of break it down like you're looking at float or volume or whatever criteria. It's like a search engine to find your stocks, right? So, but if you're day trading, you need a scanner, you need the live data. And I'll show you on the screen here of what it looks like and kind of how to read it. This isn't as intimidating, obviously, as the charts, but this is definitely a must. So we'll go over it quickly, and we'll just kind of go over kind of why you need it and what you're looking at. Okay, so I'll make it big on the screen here. So again, this is Day Trade Dash. This is where you're trading. Again, you don't have to go with them, but this is the one I go with. Again, do your own research and find what kind of works for you and your strategy. There's so many different strategies out there on how to day trade. Okay, but this one, so when I come in the morning and I load this up, the first thing I'm looking at is top gainers. So I'm looking down here. The green on green doesn't really show up. But again, so I want ones that are already moving. So if you look on the left, change from closing percentage, these are already up from yesterday's close, up quite a lot, right? 28%. all the way to 352%. So these things are already moving. And then your question is, why are they moving? So you can literally click on it and these companies, and then over here, you'll see news. So you have all the news. Why is it moving? Is it moving up because it just had, this one sell up to 20 millions of common shares, jumps pre-bell, right? If you click another one, I think AGAE had some news, strategic investment in Bitcoin and Ethereum, right, at 9 a.m. So most of these stocks will have news before the bell, and bigger companies will have news after the bell, right? But again, just keep it simple. This is what your scanner is doing. It's searching stocks that you want. And what stocks do you want? It depends on your strategy. This one, they want top gainers, right? This scanner, there's actually a bunch. I'll pull up the scanners here. But if you see, there's a bunch of different scanners, right, that you can choose from all the way down. There's ones that go into halt, large cap, high of day momentum, right, penny, top gappers, top lot losers, right, reversals. So there is a bunch, right? And that's all it is. You have criteria of volume, of float, um, gap percentage, right, price. So that's what you're kind of looking at. So you're looking at these stocks, right? You're going through them. You're like, "Oh, why is this moving up, right?" And you want ones, it depends on your strategy, but you're just looking at the news, and this news is kind of subjective, right? Sometimes you get news that is just, current report pursuant to Section 13. Sometimes they're just filing forms, right? Sometimes the news is a little mediocre. And if you think the news is mediocre, then a lot of people looking at other retailers are probably thinking it's mediocre, right? So when a stock's going up and you're like, oh, is it gonna hold? Are people gonna buy it up? If you're kind of about the stock, like, would you really buy it up? Is everyone else really gonna buy up? Is it gonna have that sustained momentum? And what I found, is that you need really good news. If it's mediocre, sometimes it just doesn't hold up. But either way, if you look in the top left here too, you have an alarm system actually, right? So you're sitting here wondering what stocks to do, and this will actually ding when certain action happens, right? When something's squeezing up or goes 5% in like a minute, right? It literally says, here, I'll move it over. It literally says squeeze alert, right? Squeeze alert, up 10% in 10 minutes, up 5% in 5 minutes, right? Those are moving, right? A lot of people are jumping into that stock. So you literally get a ding, ding, ding here with this alarm set. And you're like, okay, why is this one moving up, right? So you literally just click it, boom, news comes out. If it's like, oh, it's just making a deal with, Apple or Tesla or Nvidia or something like that, then yeah, you're gonna be like, oh my God, let's get into this, right? And then you have a chart over here, right? And then you just type in that chart, right? CNTB, and then you start looking at it, right? And that's kind of how it goes, right? But you have to have that, or else how do you know which stocks to look at, right? Um, so the scanner is an absolute must, right? I don't know how much all the scanners are. Like if we look at again, Day Trade Dash, you don't have to pick them. This is just the one that I pick. I like them. It's just because I learned their kind of strategy. So obviously their scanners are meant for my strategy, right? So that's the way I go with them. But again, do your own research, find whatever strategy, but you need a scanner and you need charts. How you get those is kind of up to you. But I just want to give you kind of a rough estimate. Like this one has scanners, charts, and news for day traders, right? It's 197 for non-members, 147 for members. So right now, 200. I'm actually doing the simulator right now, so I'm doing theirs, so it's 100. So it's what, 300 about American. I'm in Canada, so I think I'm paying like 420 for that. And if you watch my videos or you're on my channel, I'm doing the simulator and that's all that I'm using right now. So I'm paying about roughly 420 with the simulator, with the scanners and the charts, right? I haven't gone over equipment and all that, but basically that's what I'm doing. So if you're in the research stage right now and you're just finding out, you're not paying anything, stay with that, find your strategy, do your research, write down maybe some of the prices so so maybe you can prepare for it. But that's generally once you start day trading, it's definitely not free, right? But I mean, if this is going to be your business, this is going to be income, this is kind of you have to pay for it, right? When I was trucking, my oil changes were like 450, $500 every 2 to 3 weeks, right? And that's not, including everything else that can break down a truck. I mean, if you're trucking, you know what I mean, right? I put tires on that was like 4,500 for all of them, right? So it can get expensive on that. So I'm pretty happy to pay $420 a month on this one. But again, everyone's different. Do your research, right? And just again, the barrier entry isn't that hard. I'm gonna do another video on the equipment next. Like, what equipment do you need? All 6 screens, right? Do you need a supercomputer? What kind of internet do you need? Just kind of the basics on that. So like this video if you found this helpful, right? If you're a beginner too. Yeah, so stay tuned for those ones. If I'm done them, I will link them below for the equipment how-to video. If not, stay tuned for the next one. See ya.